Welcome back to First Take. The NFL Draft quickly approaching. I can't believe we're already a month out here. Field Yates has unveiled his latest mock draft. Yates projects Fernando Mendoza going #1 overall to the Raiders, while the Cardinals trade up to select Ty Simpson at number 26. Dan Orlovsky is with us, who has been, making a little bit of noise lately because he's been watching a lot of tape, and you're very high on Ty Simpson. Who do you think is the best quarterback in this draft class?
Yeah, I think it's Ty Simpson. It really comes down to I don't have anything negative to say about Mendoza. I've been adamant about that. I think he's a good player. It's a traits versus tape argument for me. I understand that Fernando Mendoza has a lot of the traits that a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL are built upon. He's big, he's athletic, he's size and speed, and obviously the national championship run was good, very good. Ty Simpson, for me, has better tape. I think that there's more examples of me watching Ty Simpson drop back to pass, NFL concepts, stuff that quarterbacks that we're seeing on a consistent basis do in the NFL. I think he's got very fast eyes against good Missouri defenses to reset, muddy pocket, people at his feet, gets all the way backside on third down, makes it. I have 20 clips, 25, 30 clips that look just like that. You go get in the Vanderbilt game when he's got to reset all the way. And I just think there's a lot of clips for Ty Simpson. I understand he doesn't have the measurables. I can get into that argument, that conversation. But I just believe that if I go off of tape, if you're going off of the tape, I think it's hard to argue that Ty Simpson's not a better player.
Stephen A?
Well, you know something? I go off of tape too. And I'm not talking about evaluating film because I'm not qualified. I leave that to the great D.O. Dan Orlovsky, okay? And I'll give him that because I love my brother. I truly, truly do. But my God, he's annoying. He really, really is. I got tape too. I got tape of Dan Orlovsky talking football time and time and time again and talking about what he sees, right? And here's the thing, doggy. We're talking about a guy in Fernando Mendoza, universally recognized as the #1 overall pick. Goes undefeated, wins the Heisman, 72% completion of his passes, 3,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, leads the nation, just 6 interceptions. Does everything you want from a quarterback to do. The moment against Penn State when he connected with Omar Cooper, and we heard the best call of the year by my man at Fox right there. I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying to myself, okay, then you saw the moment that he scampers into the end zone for the national championship game. So everything that you're looking for, you get the moments, you get the greatness, you get all of this other stuff. And then here comes Dan Orlovsky up the rear. Well, I haven't finished watching the tapes yet. This is him weeks ago. I haven't finished watching the tapes yet, but of these 5 tapes that I've seen, all of a sudden it's giving me cause to pause. And then now that he got all the work in, I just don't see it. I'm just saying to myself, does it matter what Mendoza did for this year? Does it matter? I like Ty Simpson. I just interviewed him over a couple of weeks ago. I like the kid. He's going to be the second quarterback taken in the draft. But I watched him, and I'm like, the last 6 games or so, when he's throwing about 4 interceptions, he's only completing 60% of his passes and was struggling for Alabama, albeit to some injuries and other things that was going on in Alabama. Does that count? I'm just wondering, because what Dan Orlovsky essentially is saying to the football world is, look, not saying anything negative about Fernando Mendoza, y'all, but you pretty much ignore what you saw. Just go to the tapes. Just go to the tapes because the undefeated season and the Heisman Trophy and all of that, don't worry about all of that. Watch the tape. Really? I just don't know. I just don't know. Go ahead, Dougie.
Danny, I understand what you're saying. I saw some things out of Simpson, too. The Auburn comeback did a wonderful job. You mentioned the Missouri game. He beat Georgia in Georgia. So, and I watched, we watched the SEC. Those are big games. So there is an intangible quality about him that I do like. So I understand that. But if you draft him, if you're the Jets at #2 or any team that needs a quarterback, you better get it right.
Sure.
And I don't know if he's going to be, is he a Nick Purdy type? That's a Brock Purdy type. Sure. That's everybody seems to compare him to.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that type. Purdy was the last player picked in the draft that one year. Mayfield was not worth the number one pick in the big picture. He's probably not necessarily worth the number one pick. You got to take Mendoza with the first pick.
Yeah,
he was 13. He won every game. He made enough big plays. Brady's there. He's big. He ran for the. You got to take him with the number one pick. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong.
Yeah, I haven't really argued. I understand the thought of the physical part of this conversation. I haven't really disagreed a ton with that. I get that. I've just said I think one of them is a better quarterback than the other. I don't think Fernando Mendoza is a bad player. I've never said that. But a couple of things that I have said, and Stephen A., you bring up the 72% completion percentage. Yes, a huge part of Indiana's offense is a ton of RPOs, where he just catches the ball, takes the ball, puts it into the running back, corner plays off, and it's an easy 5-yard throw. That's just my thought on their offense. The completion percentage probably would be higher. I think the way that we've talked about these players in the end of season run, and this is what became a huge deal with McAfee yesterday, because he goes big games, and I said, well, what big games? And of course I know he played in big games, but I'm asking, okay, what ones are you specifically talking about? And I mentioned this. I don't think he was overly impressive in the Iowa game. He made a couple throws at the end, yes, but it's also part because they're in the game because of the defense.
Ohio State, right.
No, the Iowa game as well. The Ohio State game. I don't think he plays particularly great in the Ohio State.
Iowa, they barely won the game.
Right. I don't think he plays great against Ohio State. Tough, absolutely. Makes a throw or two, but they're in the game because their defense plays so great. I don't think he played unbelievable against Miami. I don't. They're in it because their defense was great, and then he makes a couple plays.
How did Ty Simpson play in the AFC Championship game, SEC Championship game against Georgia? How did he play against Indiana in the playoffs? How did he play?
Okay, so one, against Georgia, he had no shot. Alabama was terrible by then, and that's why most people said should not be in the college football playoff. Indiana, he gets hurt. He didn't do anything in Indiana. They were completely overwhelmed. That was the number 2 defense in the country. This isn't a guy versus the other thing. Like that's my whole thing. It's like if you say one player is better than the other, you're saying one player is not good. That's never been the case. And then Mad Dog, I agree. I get the point of the physical part of this. I get it. If you take Ty Simpson relatively early, you better be right because you have to prove that he can survive a whole season. I would tell you that you have to prove that you can get Mendoza to operate an NFL offense the same way he operated his college offense.
Hey, hold on. We got to go. We got to break, but I have a really quick question. If you took Ty Simpson high in the first round, would you start him right away, or are you taking him under the impression he's got to learn and sit for a year? Because Mendoza, they're going to take and play him right away.
I don't think either of these guys should play right away. I really don't believe that. I think both of them would be suited off to sit for a little bit of time.
Okay. We're going to leave that here. I'm sure Dio will have much more to say about this as we creep closer to the NFL Draft, which is about a month away. Many top players could miss out on major NBA awards this season due to that 65-game rule. Should the NBA get rid of the rule? You don't want to miss that. It's next.